NFL, you love it or you hate it if you're not a fan of football, which is what today's video is all about. The NFL, the National Football League, and I think it's going to be a really good one because I'm excited to talk about football, even though we're technically in the off season right now. You know, we can still talk about stuff. I think the off season is actually where the most action happens, outside of games during the 4 month span of the season, I believe. I think it's 4 months because we have September, October, November, December. I guess four and a half if you count January when we get to the postseason stuff. But that's what this podcast episode is all about today. The NFL. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the football teams, some of the players, some of the stuff that's happened in the off season, and maybe more if I think of stuff that I also want to bring up. If you're new here, this is the Ace for Waves podcast with your host, Annabelle Schneider. It's my podcast where I make a I talk about a variety of subjects to be fair, but my main episodes, which is what this is where I talk a lot of sports, either stuff that's happening in the sports world and in sports media or sports coverage. I also like to do coffee talks, which is just me just talking about stuff that I find interesting. I like to do some A+ life advice, which I haven't done in a hot minute. And maybe I should get back to doing those fairly soon. Did like bold predictions during the NFL season. And if you look up if you look underneath my channel, you'll find different segments. So whichever appeals to you. But we're on the main episode. I believe it's 17 or 18. You'll see it when the video probably appears on the screen. But let's get into some actions first. For those of you who are not football fans, the NFL stands for National Football League. It's comprised of 32 teams, and each team has four teams in a specific division, and it's also split up. You have the AFC, the American Football Conference, and the NFC, the national. I think it's the National Football Conference, if I'm not mistaken. So there's two different conferences, and then you have four divisions in each conference. So the AFC, they have the AFC North, South, East, and West. So it's literally just directions that you would see on a map or a compass. And then the NFC has four divisions as well: Northeast, Southwest. And inside of each division there are four teams. I don't know which teams are in each division. That would require me to look that up and do some mathematical things, which I'm not really skilled for at the moment. If I had my cheat sheet, I could look at it and tell you guys, but I don't have that on me right now. So all I can tell you is that there is two conferences. There are four divisions within each conference, and then there are four teams who belong to that specific division. My favorite team, the Carolina Panthers, are in the NFC South. I hope I'm not butchering that. They are in the NFC South, along with the Buccaneers and two other teams that I already don't forgot. And if that makes me look like a bad fan, well, it actually does. There's the NFC East, which is probably the only division that I am familiar with because it's the division that my brother likes to talk about the most. It has the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Commanders. All three, actually, three of the four teams are, I would say, pretty decent and pretty good. The Giants are the only team that I wouldn't consider really decent or good. And I thought that division actually had a good season, despite the Cowboys kind of tanking towards the middle half of their season. But they were also plagued with injuries, so I can't fault them too much for that. The AFC, however, is completely stacked with teams, at least in my opinion. I know that's subjective. I know people might disagree with me on that. But when you look at the AFC and compared to the NFC, they just have better teams. You have the Kansas City Chiefs, you have the Baltimore Ravens, you have the Houston Texans, the Buffalo Bills, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, you have the Denver Broncos, who I would consider a good team. You have the Miami Dolphins. Whether they're good or not is up to for debate and interpretation of what you define as good. But those are just a few of the teams that come to my mind. And then in the NFC, you do have, the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. You have the San Francisco 49ers, albeit not a good season really last year, but I think they're going to bounce back this year. You have I guess, the Los Angeles Rams. If they are good, maybe the Buccaneers, the Dallas Cowboys stuff. I don't really think the NFC has good teams compared to the AFC at least. And a lot of that kind of has to do with quarterback play and quarterback efficiency. People already dub Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, as one of the greatest of all times. And he is a superstar, don't get me wrong. He's won, I believe, three or four Super Bowls with the Chiefs. He's a Super Bowl MVP, and he is absolutely great and one of the best quarterbacks of this modern era specifically. Now, another quarterback in the AFC who comes to mind, who I think of with superstar status, is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. He is really good. He is a two-time MVP in the league. He has a great arm. He can throw the ball well. He can run the ball well too. And he's overall just the definition of a very versatile quarterback. I would highly recommend just watching him play a game, and you'll see kind of how good he really is. And I would put him in my top three quarterbacks of the league in 2025, my pre list right off the bat. That's how good I believe he is. And that's how good I believe he can be in years to come. There's also Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, and Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. Josh Allen won MVP last year, and he's also very good. He's not quite on the same level as Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson yet, I think, but he has the ability, he has potential to be just a massive superstar in the league if he isn't already. Again, has a great arm, makes pretty good decisions with the football most of the time, and you can get a lot of quality production out of him. Same for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been to a Super Bowl before with the Cincinnati Bengals, a struggling franchise before he got there, to the Super Bowl in his second year. They lost to the LA Rams, however. But again, I would put Joe Burrow and Josh Allen on the same tier level. Now, I know the Bengals haven't had the best seasons in the past like 2 or 3 years. I know some of that can be looked back on due to just injuries to certain players, can be looked back on as key players who were either missing or weren't developed to their full potential. But again, Joe Burrow is a great quarterback in the league and a great quarterback in the AFC. I believe that's four quarterbacks that I named already, in the AFC at least. There's probably more that I missed, but you look at that, and then you look at the quarterbacks in the NFC, and you see how kind of they compare to that standard, that level, however you want to frame it. I believe I did talk about this in the bold predictions at some point, but I forgot. CJ Stroud, the young quarterback for the Houston Texans, another AFC team. He is great. I believe he's entering his third year now, which would be next season. But what he did as a rookie was unbelievable. I know he kind of struggled in his second year a little bit, but again, he's young. There is room to improve. And you can say that for any quarterback in the league, really. But I think CJ Stroud's going to be a superstar in the league within the next year, 2 years or so. And he took the Houston Texans to the playoffs in his rookie season. Again, kind of like a struggling franchise, a franchise who hasn't seen the playoffs in years. And to take them to the playoffs in your rookie year specifically, when the team has struggled in past years, is just incredible. I forgot to bring his name up, and I want to make sure I gave him his flowers. But moving on from the AFC quarterbacks, now we look at the NFC quarterbacks and what they bring to the table. I know Jay talked about Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. Eagles have made it to the playoffs in multiple years in a row. So that says something about the team, the owner, the coach, and the franchise as a whole. Hurts made it to the Super Bowl in 2022. Or was it 2022? I think it was 2020, 2022 and 2023. I think. I'm getting my dates mixed up, so someone fact check me there. But I do know that they went to the Super Bowl one year. They had to face the Chiefs, and the Chiefs did up eventually winning. And then they made it to the Super Bowl again last season, where they faced the Chiefs again, and they won. So they are the current Super Bowl champions in the NFC specifically. I have good things to say about Jalen Hurts. I think he can throw the ball well. He can also run the ball when he utilizes his legs. He has receivers that he can throw the ball to. He had a very, very good running back in Saquon Barkley, who was definitely a massive piece and a massive key as to why the Eagles went as far as they did. Not to take away from Jalen Hurts' ability, because I believe that he is our top two, top three quarterback in the NFC right now. That could change maybe next season. But as of me recording this and me uploading this, I do think he's a top three quarterback in the NFC just because of what he's been able to do for the Eagles. And you look at his statistics as well. He there are some turnover issues and interception stuff, but every quarterback will throw an interception at one point during the season. It's just inevitable and it's going to happen. And there's not much you can really do there unless you're making a really bad throw and you're throwing it right to a defender. But otherwise, it's literally a 50-50 shot if the quarterback has its eyes on a specific receiver and they're throwing the ball and they're anticipating that the receiver will catch it. Either the receiver does catch it and get on that same wavelength, or the defender just happens to make a really good play and intercept the ball. But that's with Jalen Hurts. Otherwise, I think we kind of see the quarterback efficiency in the NFC dip a little. I know there's Brock Purdy, the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. I've seen the discourse about people crediting Purdy's ability to and his statistics due to his really good offense and his great wide receiver package and the running back duos. I think Purdy is a very good quarterback. And regardless of the star receivers that he has, regardless of the star running backs and the tight ends, that shouldn't take away from his ability to see his receivers, throw the ball well, make little mistakes. Again, there's the turnover issues, just like with any other quarterback. But he has a really good arm, and he has a special ability to kind of scan downfield, scan receivers, and still be able to make really hard throws when you think that they're going to be untouchable or intercepted. They're still catching the ball. And that's the you can't and you just have to give your flowers when and give credit where credit is due. And this is me giving Brock Purdy his credit. He is an amazing quarterback. Do I think he has room for improvement? Absolutely. He did lose a few of his star wide receivers in the offseason or due to trades, but they brought in a few new wide receivers. He's getting some of the wide receivers back from last year, this year, who are out to injury. So I think we're going to see not necessarily a different 49ers team next season, but I think we're going to see a reconstructed 49ers team, and we're going to see how well they mesh. And again, Kyle Shanahan is a great coach in the league, one of the best coaches, I think, in recent years for the 49ers. They have a good front office staff with their general manager, John Lynch, and the owner, Jed York. They know what they're doing. And I think the 49ers are going to be just fine next season. If I recall correctly, I think they have the second easiest schedule in the NFC or the entire NFL. Not to take away from that, because even if you have the best schedule, you still have room for losses. It doesn't really necessarily mean anything until the first game is played. But I think Brock Purdy is great, super underrated, and hopefully now that he has signed his contract extension, people will finally start looking at him as a valid quarterback and not just Mr. Irrelevant, which those comments have gotten old by now. So we'll see if Purdy can put the doubters and the haters to rest next season. And then finally, the other quarterback that I wanted to mention in the NFC versus AFC quarterback discourse is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. And I think Dak Prescott is a very unique case and a very unique quarterback to talk about, because he's one of the oldest quarterbacks, not necessarily by age, but one of the oldest quarterbacks to have stayed with a team for 8 years now. Dak got drafted by the Cowboys in 2016, and he's still with the Cowboys in the year 2025. He's entering his 9th season with them. And when we think of the Cowboys, we think of Jerry Jones, we think of the Cowboys fan base, why they're dubbed America's team, and then we think about how they perform in the postseason. There is a significant, and I mean significant, gap between the Cowboys, not even preseason, but the Cowboys season when it counts most, from weeks 1 to 18, and then when it comes to the postseason. And I don't know why that necessarily is, because we know the Cowboys can be a great team. We have seen the Cowboys be a great team. And I think of that team in 2023 when they went 12-5 back-to-back years under the head coach, Mike McCarthy. We know they can be good. We know that they can win games. We know that they have the talent around them to be a superstar caliber team. You had Dak Prescott, the quarterback. You have a good wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb. You had a Rico Dowdle as the running back. You had Zeke as the quarterback for a few seasons out of the 9. You had wide receiver Amari Cooper. You had Jalen Tolbert. You have, I forget, the tight ends like Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker, who can make big plays. And that's just offense. You had Zach Martin on the offensive line. And then on the defense, you have Trayvon Diggs. You have Micah Parsons. You had DeMarcus Lawrence. All these players who are really, really good. And we've seen them we've seen them play their best in during the regular season. And then in the postseason, it just kind of falls apart. And I don't know why that is. I don't even think the fans know why that is, why there's such a significant drop there. But after watching Dak play for the Cowboys, yes, he does have a tendency for interceptions. And I already talked about that every quarterback is going to throw interceptions. That's just how I think the league and the system kind of operates. There's not really you have you there's a more likely chance of a quarterback throwing an interception in a game than them throwing no interceptions at all. But again, Dak has a strong arm, and I've seen him make big throws. He doesn't necessarily run the ball well. We saw more of that during like the 2016, 2018, 2019 era of Dak, back when he was younger. I know that's kind of a mean way to phrase it, but he has gotten older. His body isn't going to be as much of an in prime shape as he was 9 years ago, and that's okay. I think Matthew Stafford is another example that comes to mind, and Jared Goff. They're two, I say older in quotation marks, two older quarterbacks who were probably more in their prime during the early stages of their NFL career compared to now. But with Dak specifically, I think the problem with not with Dak, but the problem for Dak is that there's a lot of pressure that comes with being America's team and seen as America's team to the whole football world. Last season, Dak started out game one or week one well. Week two, they had a blowout loss. Week three, they came back and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if it was in overtime, but I do know that they went past midnight due to like a delay of game, and then had like back-to-back blowout losses at home. And then he injured his leg and was out, had to miss the rest of the regular season for that, and had to undergo surgery. So I can't really fault Dak for the way the Dallas Cowboys season kind of blew up last year. I do think he wasn't good. I wouldn't say he was good because I the whole organization wasn't good. We'll phrase it like that. I don't think the whole Cowboys organization was good. Jerry Jones wasn't great. Mike McCarthy as the head coach wasn't great. Dak wasn't great when he was still playing. The defense wasn't looking good. Their defensive coordinator just wasn't the right fit, etc. The puzzle pieces all didn't match up. But now the Cowboys have a new head coach next season. They're going to have a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator as well. So we'll see if they can kind of turn their season around similarly to the 49ers. I believe the 49ers went 6-12 or 6-13 last season back in 2024, and then 2023 they were either 12-5 or 13-4. So a little bit of a 180. And then with the Cowboys, I believe the Cowboys were 7-10. I think 7-10 or 6-11 in 2024, and then 2023 were 12-5. So I think major changes were needed for both franchises, and they got that. Obviously, with the 49ers, they lost some players to free agency and trades and whatnot, but they managed to bring some new players in. They did well in the draft, and they're also getting some of their key players back from injury who had to miss a bulk of the season last year. That worked out in their favor. And then with the Cowboys, too, they'll get some of their players back from injury. They did have a pretty decent draft. I know some people would disagree with that, but I do believe that they drafted well. They needed a replacement for Zach Martin, and they got it. They are bringing in some wide receivers to help fill the wide receiver room. They got George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers in the offseason in due to a trade, so that kind of helps. But we're gonna see we're gonna see a new two new teams when it comes to the 49ers and the Cowboys, and I can't wait to see that. And hopefully they have better seasons this year. And I'm just praying for that. On the other on with other discussions about the NFL, however, I talked about the quarterbacks. I kind of talked about some of the teams. My favorite team is the Carolina Panthers. They weren't good last year. They weren't good the year before that or the year before that. I think their last good season was maybe 2015 when they went on their Super Bowl run, and they haven't been good since. So there's my struggles with my team. I do. I know that Bryce Young is still young and he still has the ability to improve and whatnot, but I don't think the Panthers are going to be good next year either. And I say that as a Panthers fan. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that I will be proven wrong. I want that more than anything for the Panthers to finally be good again, but I don't think it's going to happen next season. 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. I was also looking up. I'm gonna just sidetrack it for a second here, and then we'll probably end this episode because I'm kind of running out of things to say. But earlier, I was looking up sports mascots and specifically just mascots in the NFL, and I came away with the conclusion that the Panthers have one of the worst mascot names in the entire NFL. And the Carolina Panthers mascot name is Sir Purr. I don't know why his name is Sir Purr, but we could have thought of a more clever and unique name for a mascot. It's Sir Purr the Panther. Now, Purr Panther, two P's. Maybe that's the reason why he's named Sir Purr, but it's kind of cheesy and kind of corny. I don't want my mascot's name to literally just be Sir and Purr, even though it rhymes. But it kind of made me sad that his name is Sir Purr. And I didn't really like that. The Cowboys mascot name is Rowdy, Rowdy the Cowboy. That's more unique. I know Rowdy and Cowboy, the country, or not the country, but the Southern connections there. Is that cheesy too? Maybe, but Rowdy sounds a lot better than Sir Purr. I'm and then there's sourdough Sam, who is the mascot for the 49ers. Now that's unique. Sourdough Sam sounds a lot better than Sir Purr and even Rowdy for that matter. And that's the only ones I can think of right now. We could literally do a quick Google search though and see other mascots in the league. Let's see, mascots in the NFL. We'll see. NFL mascots, SERP. The Baltimore Ravens mascot is Poe Rise and Conquer. That's his name. See, that's unique for the Ravens. Poe Rise and Conquer. Buffalo Bills, Billy Buffalo. Billy Buffalo kind of on the love us or per. Who Day is the mascot for the Bengals. That's nice. Miles Thunder, or just Thunder, is the mascot for the Denver Broncos. Thunder. See, I would never think of Thunder when I think of a Bronco, even though a Bronco is a horse, or maybe that has some connection there. I don't know. The Colts mascot's name is Blue. Just literally blue. Oh, and a blue horse. Jackson DeVille or Jackson DeVille is the mascot for the Jaguars. That's unique. Casey Wolf, mascot for the Chiefs. The Chargers have no mascot, as I'm looking on Wikipedia right now. That's actually kind of strange to me. How the Chargers don't even have a mascot. I know their logo is either a thunderbolt or a thing of lightning. Is it that? Yeah, because it's literally lightning on their helmets. I don't know, or unless I'm missing something previously. They were called the San Diego Chargers before they moved to Los Angeles. Fun fact for you guys there. I don't know if the Chargers are supposed to be like a horse or thunder or electricity or whatever, but they don't have an official mascot. So there you go. The Dolphins mascot's name is TD. Oh, the New York Jets don't have a mascot name either. Wow. I would think like with Jets, when I think of Jets, I think of planes. So maybe we can think of a mascot name for the New York Jets now. The Tennessee Titans, T-Brack. Big Red's the mascot for the Arizona Cardinals. Freddie Falcon for the Atlanta Falcons. And then we have Sir Purr for the Carolina Panthers. Cowboys mascot name is Rowdy. Oh my gosh, the Packers don't have a mascot listed. They should have a mascot with cheese because I've seen the cheese heads. I've seen the cheese heads in Green Bay. It's kind of cool. The Rampage is the mascot name for the Rams. Goombo or Insert Saint, New Orleans Saints. We have Sourdough Sam, obviously. Captain Fear for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Major Tuddy, the mascot name for the Washington Commanders. So I guess there's worse names than Sir Purr. You could literally, I already forget what mascots I just said already. There could be no mascots like the Chargers and the Jets and the Packers have, but I don't know. I just feel like you could have thought of a more clever name for a panther other than Sir Purr. And there's my hot take. But I think I think that's all I have today for this episode at least. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're watching, thanks for listening. Let me know other topics or sports ideas that you want me to talk about in the comments below. I am open to suggestions. And hopefully you learned a little bit about the NFL today. And if you didn't take away anything from my quarterback discourse, at least you know some of the mascots in the NFL now. And maybe you just learned the name of your favorite NFL mas maybe you finally learned the mascot name for your favorite NFL team. But again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.